Whoa!
He's got the figs. He's got the figs. What is going on? That's right. The Versus Avengers have returned. Team Avengers have returned for another episode of Versus. And what episode is this? It is the 25th episode. Holy moly, guacamole. It's time to celebrate. Oh, it's fun.
2021.
That's it. Oh man, today is we're taking a break from Kung Fu. Kung Fu month is pretty much wrapped up. We had a blast during Kung Fu month and the 24th annual Kung Fu extravaganza as well. So we're going back to horror. That's right, my other favorite genre. That's right. We're going to talk about that. But first, let's introduce our guests here. We got Louis Lacker from Nerd Report.
What up, everyone? Thanks for bringing me back in here, man. I'm glad you honor my input and stuff.
Oh yeah,
you know, stuff. And hi, Mom. How you doing? I made it to a big time.
Awesome. We got Rick Myers, Kung Fu Santa himself. That's right.
Woo!
Ooh, what do we have there? Let me blow it up. Hold on.
The world of exploitation film.
Oh!
Sexy sumo.
Oh, wait, I'm blowing it up. Do it again. Whoops, we got Sexy Sumo here. How you doing?
Impersonator.
You took over.
You look nothing like the book.
Yeah, this is the book you want to order for this episode.
All right, let's blow that up here one more time.
By Rick Myers.
There we go. I just wanted to make sure they can see it. Hey, here we go.
This is must reading, said People magazine. They actually said that.
Yes.
Nice.
Love the shirt as always.
Oh yeah.
All right.
My horror shirt on.
That's right. Horror. Sumo, we already saw you. Thanks again for joining us, my friend.
Hey.
Got the Shoit there. Got the Freddy vs. Jason Shoit representing horror. That's right. Aaron Penn from Cult of Cinema. How are you doing, my friend?
It is horror, so I'm here, of course.
Yes.
This is my genre.
More horror we do, man. We will be calling you to join us because we love your input and your insight. Master Chaos. That's right. The director of Blood Brothers up in the house, son. That's how we do it. Oh yeah.
I'm happy to be back. You call us the Avengers, but tonight we're the Dark Avengers.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. The
nice,
Dark
right?
Avengers,
I actually just came up with that. That's how smart I am. I'm very happy to be here. I'm happy to be back. It's been a while, and this is going to be a very tough episode. So
yeah, it's going to be tough.
But the tough everybody's points.
Oh yeah, the tough ones are fun to do though.
Yeah.
And we got Mr. Tony of the Dead. That's right, actor extraordinaire, Night of the Act 72. Horror, that's right. Thanks for showing up and hanging out with us, my friend. And, of course, the honor. That's right. What an honor to have her back here on the show. That's right. April Wright, director extraordinaire. That's right. Directed phenomenal documentary that I highly recommend you guys check out. Stunt Women, The Untold Hollywood Story. It's phenomenal. Make sure you check that out. Everyone's information so you can subscribe and support is in the description box of the video. All right, so we are here. Two titans are about to collide. That's right. Hollywood versus Freddy Got Fingered. All right, let's do Halloween versus Nightmare on Elm Street. That's right. Two icons
from Mannequin.
Two classic movies. We're going to talk about it today. This is going to be a lot of fun. Oh yes. But first up, we'll be back after this commercial break.
Once again, foolish friends, Freddy Krueger is on your phone. Dial this number now. I've got some tales to tell. Freddy's favorite bedtime stories. Dead time stories. All brand new, straight from my boiler room to your home. It's Freddy Krueger on your your phone. So dial this number now if you dare. Tell them that Freddy sent you.
$2 the first minute, 45 cents each additional minute. Children, get your parents' permission before you dial.
Hello, yeah, Mr. Krueger. Could you babysit my son tonight? Yeah, sure. The Phat Samurai show. We're gonna be debating. Yeah, no, he's 11. Cool, thank you.
What's his name?
I had to play that. I came across that the other day. I was like, oh my God, I couldn't stop
That's
laughing.
awesome.
Yeah, that didn't make me feel old at all. But yeah, I had to play that just for fun. All right, let's get into it. Ain't nothing to it but to do it. Halloween, 1974, directed by John Carpenter. The
78.
icon, the legend.
Not 74.
I'm sorry, 72.
78.
Sorry about that.
8.
Sorry, 78. Sorry about that. All right. Classic movie. It's I'm going to be brief, so make sure everyone else has a chance to talk. But yeah, it just, the first time, I didn't grow up with the movie. I didn't see it when I was young. I saw it later, maybe late teens. And I feel exactly the same way about it the first time I watched it. And it's a classic. It's classic. I am a fan of slashers, and they're fun, and I like them, and I'm sticking to it. That's it. But I'm a fan of all kinds of horror genres. I like them all. But there's just, I don't know, man. There's just something. It's something iconic about that theme song. I don't know. It might be the greatest horror theme song ever. I don't know. I mean, that's debatable. That could be another Versus. But it's just a classic movie. One of my favorite scenes in the movie, believe it or not, is with the great Donald Pleasance, is with Loomis. And it's not the kills, it's not the stabs or anything. It's just Loomis telling the story about the past and talk about him meeting young Myers and trying to understand why he did what he did. But in the end, at the end of the day, it's just straight evil. And sometimes not knowing why is more scarier than knowing why. You know what I mean? Just, he's evil. That's it. The little kid went up there, killed his sister. He snapped one day, and that was it. Sometimes not having an explanation is scarier than it being laid out for you. And, this is what I call, this scene here, it's one of my favorites in the movie. This is what I call the Quint in Jaws, talking about his past sequence, dealing with the sharks. And I just love this scene. And this is what horror is all about. Stories like this, telling stories about the boogeyman,
Yep.
Scaring us little kids. We couldn't sleep at night. That's what it's all about. But, I love Jamie Lee Curtis. I just enjoy the film. It's a classic. I got Halloween figs in the back there, posters, all that stuff. I'm a huge fan of this movie. And I still enjoy it to this day. I just got done watching it in 4K, and the picture quality is amazing.
Nice.
And I still feel the same about it. I still really, really enjoy the movie. All right, that's it for me. Oh, I got to point this out. That as much as I love this movie, did anyone else find it fucking hilarious that, Myers is driving around in the car? Come on, this is hilarious. Come on, this is funny. As great as the movie is, I thought that was hilarious. That always makes me laugh. All right, let's go ahead and switch it to Lewis.
Yeah, and you forgot that there's a scene right there with the warehouse scene with the he's actually looking both ways before he turns left. He's actually a precocious driver. You only see that when it's in 4K, actually. And that scene in there, which is weird, is what's the matter? Speed kills or whatever the thing is. He actually gets pissed off and stops. Remember that scene with the ladies as he's stalking them? And it's silly, but then I figure, well, Myers kind of has like a childish mind to him because he was a little kid. He was 6 when he committed those murders. So there's still that conflict. I love this movie. I got introduced into the series with part 2, and then as I grew older, I started admiring part 1 more than any of them. Actually, the music's fantastic. It's a Twilight Zone episode. It's the origins of the boogeyman. The music's perfect. I don't even know if the editing's awesome. I mean, it's like a lot of mistakes came together and made a perfect film. Like, there's a lot of mistakes here, like editing mistakes, audio's awful, the freaking acting's kind of awful, but it just freaking worked. It's like everything worked in this. Everything totally worked for this movie, right? And it's like the shape. It's anything you want it to be. It's a Rorschach. The face, like, you don't know. it's just incredible. And like, it's easy to look back now and say, well, it's just a slasher, that guy with a knife that gets up after he gets shot. But you got to remember, back then he was among the first, or if not the first. I mean, the only movie this movie kind of mimicked was Black Christmas, really, with the cinematography and everything and stuff, and the Christmas theme, which I believe Black Christmas wasn't really called Black Christmas. Was it called something else? I don't know what, but yeah, I love this film. If we're talking about what we love about it, it's amazing. It's one and done, actually. To me, it's one and done. And yeah, I don't know. Is there anything I hated about it? No. I love the fact that at the end of the movie, nitpicks. No, man. I mean, I love the fact that at the end of the movie, he's everywhere. Like when the breathing, like he's everywhere now. He turned into something supernatural, or did he? Like, they don't really explain it, but it's freaking awesome. I don't know, man. I could stay hours talking about the movie, how awesome it is and stuff. What more could I say?
All right. Awesome. Yeah. April.
Ooh, I get to go next.
Yeah.
Well, Halloween is one of my favorite, not just horror or genre movies. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. So I have a pretty long list about reasons to like it. First off, I think, it was a completely independent film. It didn't have studio support when they made it. So that's very admirable. John Carpenter, it's two horror legends up against each other tonight between John Carpenter and Wes Craven. You can't go wrong. But Carpenter, especially for this film, had the benefit of Deborah Hill, who was a great producer, helped write it. She appears in the movie as the hands grabbing the knife in the opening. And I think her influence on the female characters and their dialogue and all of that helped the film. I think the casting was really smart, casting the daughter of Janet Leigh and giving Jamie Lee Curtis her first role. That's something we would try to do today if we were making a horror film. How can we get the son or daughter of somebody famous and give them their first film? And also casting a seasoned person like Donald Pleasance. Yeah. That scene you were talking about earlier, because he's such a good actor and has so much gravitas, he makes the story so credible of Michael Myers and how evil he is that you believe it and you're going with it for the whole film. So he adds that, qualifies the level of the problem in a way that other actors probably couldn't do. This theme song we already talked about, but I think and Nightmare on Elm Street has good music too, but John Carpenter wrote that song. And I would argue that it's also not just for horror films, but it's one of the best, theme song scores of any film. So recognizable. It's right up there with Jaws for me. The mask is Captain Kirk. So right there. That might be all the points that you need. PJ Souls being in it is a big plus for me. It might be one of the first movies where it has a female character who spills something on her and has to go to the laundry room, where she's in like a scary laundry room in the dark by herself. And I also give it bonus points for using Don't Fear the Reaper in the soundtrack when Laurie and Annie are in the car, which Wes Craven does use that song remade later in Screams, paying homage to this. So so many things to love about it. That I might have more, but that's my main list.
Copy that. Awesome. Master Chaos.
Well, let's be honest. Halloween is the horror movie. That's the one that everyone thinks about. Like, what should I watch for Halloween? Halloween. That's the one that everyone that either starts with or is aware of or just goes to because it is the quintessential boogeyman movie. Now, when you talk about the film from a structural standpoint, it is a very slow-moving film. It's almost European in that way because nothing really happens till the end. Laurie and Michael Myers don't even really interact till the last maybe 5 minutes. I mean, it's probably even less than that. But this movie has this aura of dread the whole damn time. There's never a point where you're bored with this movie. But, and that makes it rewatchable. That's what separates a bad slasher movie from a good slasher movie. You like the characters, you like the atmosphere, you like the feeling it gives you, and you want to rewatch it. You want to re-experience it. For example, Scream. April brought that up. I mean, I think Scream is a masterpiece. And if tonight it was Halloween versus another Wes Craven film, if it was Scream, I would give it to Scream. Because I just have a deeper connection to that film, and I think the script is better. Halloween, however, has a lot going for it. Tonight, though, my decision is going to lie on what is a better single movie. Because we can debate the franchise going off in different directions and whatever. The continuity for the Halloween franchise makes no sense. Nightmare sort of stayed on track for the most part. So it's going to be hard for me to decide. But when it comes to Halloween, I just think it's a marvelous movie. I don't really have any nitpicks beyond, I could see how somebody coming in, like someone of today's era, trying to give it a watch, might come in and be, it's a little boring.
Yeah.
You hear that people watching The Exorcist and they get bored. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
There's just so much in Halloween that is perfectly dreadful. And that's what you want from a spooky movie. And it delivers that. And if you examine it, nothing really happens for a long time. But it doesn't have to. When it happens, it's shocking. There's no blood in the movie either, which is something that Scream does get wrong. But it doesn't need blood. It's more about that atmosphere and that feeling. The boogeyman is everywhere. You never know when you're going to run into him. He is everywhere. He is everyone. And that is the message of the movie. I honestly think it's a masterpiece, and that's why it's lasted this long, and that's why it's got the love that it does. And it's not just because it was the first slasher movie, and without Halloween, there wouldn't be any others. There's a reason that movie has lasted. It's because it's a good entry point, and it kind of ticks all the boxes. It almost works as an art house film, and it works as a lean and mean slasher movie, and it's a perfect Halloween movie. Enough said. That's my feeling on Halloween. I love it very much.
Awesome. And April, if anything else comes up, you can just jump in whenever. We do that. Yeah, and then this, we do that, so that's fine. Feel free. Tony, we're not going to leave you last this time, buddy.
Well, Halloween is kind of nostalgic for me because it's started like me kind of getting into horror, which was thanks to my mom. We went to the local, video store and rented Halloween and watched it for the first time. And I liked it. And then she goes, let's watch the second one because it picks right up after the first one. I was like, okay. And then we watched that. So like that has a nostalgic feel for me. My mom, for some reason, got afraid of horror later on in life. For some reason. I don't know why. But she introduced me to it. And so, like I said, nostalgic there. I like Michael Myers. I like that, like you can't reason with him. You're just, forget it. You're dead. Like he doesn't care. I like how, I do love the theme song. I love that it's a mask. Obviously you can't see emotion. There is none, but like you can't see nothing. He's scary. Things I don't like about the movie, though, I don't like that the mask is Captain Kirk because that's all I see when I look at it. I think the theme song is played way too many times in the movie. Like it's like constant. And I think, that doesn't mean I don't like the movie, but I think it's way overhyped. Okay. I think a lot of people really, really, I love the movie, but like, I just think it's like the bar set way up here and I'm just like, it's good, Right. I love the atmosphere too. Like I love the look of it. Halloween, of course, Loomis is great.
What are one or two films you would put above Halloween?
Oh God, on the spot.
Well, you said it's not up here; it's here. So what is up here?
Nightmare on Elm Street. No.
Okay.
Halloween 2.
Oh, okay. You like Halloween 2 more than Halloween?
Yeah.
All right. That's interesting. That's interesting. All right.
But knowing that the mask is Captain Kirk,
Yeah.
that's not the movie's fault because those masks, when they were made, not even Captain Kirk or anyone that followed Star Trek thought they looked like Captain Kirk. That's because you were told in the making it's a Captain Kirk mask. Or did you know watching the movie? Like, when did you first see the movie?
Well, now all I see is him. Back then, I didn't know that. But
Yeah,
now
so that's
all I
not
see
really
is-
the movie's fault. Like, you know what I mean? And it's an alternate.
Is it in the movie though?
Hindsight is 2020.
Well, okay, you know the lightsabers are CGI in Star Wars. You can't like blame the movie for that. You know what I mean?
Let him finish. You know, I don't have enough.
How do you mute him? Can I mute him?
Go ahead, Tony.
Is
Go
it
ahead.
7:30 yet?
Go ahead, Tony.
Well, usually I know
I
people
don't like
that are
Captain
muted.
Kirk. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'm a Picard guy.
There you go.
Yeah, mute me because I got good points.
Luis,
right.
you didn't have to defend everything you said. Don't make him defend everything he said. Go ahead, Tony.
I don't know what I was saying.
Was there anything other? You enjoyed the film, but was
April
there
had
anything
asked
other
me about
negative
like the
things
two
about it?
movies that I put above it. Off the top of my head, I really don't know. Like I do like Halloween 2 more.
Okay.
I like Halloween 3, even though it's not Myers.
Yeah. So do I. Yeah.
But and we're not talking about the rest of those. But I don't know. I'll have to think about that. I'll get to that later. But yeah, I mean, I do like the movie. I don't know. That's all I'm going to say about it.
Overall, you enjoy it.
Yeah, I do enjoy it. I do watch it on Halloween. I do watch it on Halloween.
Okay.
So
all right. Copy
I
that.
do own the whole franchise and everything. But
all right. Copy that. All right. Aaron.
Hey, this Halloween's a favorite of mine. But playing devil's advocate, I'm going to analyze it a bit.
Okay.
So I'm glad you mistakenly said 1974 initially, because inspiration for Halloween, Black Christmas. Halloween's not the first slasher film. It's the popular slasher film that made a lot of money, that opened the door. It's not the slasher film either that got slasher films going. That would be Friday the 13th in 1980. That would be the one that really sets the bar going for slasher films. Now, with that being said, I think this is an excellent film. One mentioned there was the Rorschach test with the mask, right? And this is how you see what went wrong with Rob Zombie's Halloween series. Is that he looked at it and said, "Gee, I wonder what Michael Myers was thinking. I wonder what's going on behind those eyes." No one cares. It's the boogeyman is scary because he's the boogeyman, because you don't know why. Yeah. Whereas like Scream would say later on, like motives don't matter, and they don't in this film. The soundtrack is excellent, though. If you've ever tried watching this movie with the soundtrack, it doesn't always work as well. That's what. But the soundtrack is fantastic in this film. I love the casting. It's weird to think that Donald Pleasance wasn't originally going to be Loomis. That was going to be Christopher Lee. Would have been so different if he had said yes, and I don't think it would have been as iconic, because Pleasance just has this weird, unique style to him that I utterly adore. Jamie Lee Curtis is fantastic in this, and one of the reasons is because she is so different from the character that she plays. She was not this character. She was pretty much she was the Nancy Loomis or PJ Souls type of character, so she was playing against type. So she was doing really good here. Before this, I think she had only done like some TV stuff, like a lot of probably like police story, episodic shows, stuff like that. But I do like the mask. The hard thing about the mask though is that it becomes so hard to replicate, and you would think, okay, it's just a Captain Kirk mask, so it's easy to do, but it hasn't been. Because Halloween 2, because Dick Warlock's face is a different shape, different size. The mask is different. But as we go through, if you've seen Halloween 4 or Halloween H2O, oh my God, the masks from that are probably the worst that you've ever seen. But for some reason, like, everything aligns, and the original Halloween, the mask is perfect. The way it's shot, like the way it's set, the lighting, kind of the use over the film. it's gorgeous, and it takes a lot from. And I don't know if Carpenter's ever acknowledged this or ever mentioned this, but I'm going to say it right now. It takes some stuff from Giallo. There's some very Giallo-esque aspects to this, and not just in the film in the way that. There's. God, I wish I could remember the name. There's a soundtrack that's kind of similar to John Carpenter's Halloween, and I'm sure Rick's going to probably mention it. It's a great film. Is it a perfect film? It's all the stars aligned to make this the film that it is. But there are things there like I love it. Is it going to be my pick? I'm not saying yet, but is it fair to talk about it without analyzing some of the other structural flaws? No, you got to have both of them there. But the script, I love. The film, I love. The pacing, and for Halloween is great. I'm a kid that grew up with the film. I think like me and probably Rick and maybe Sam were probably the only people old enough to remember these films back in the day. I remember.
Thank you for that.
Theater. I remember when it came but I remember when Halloween came to ABC. That was a insanely crazy time. I was at my mom's and we were playing the commercial. It was the middle of the day, and I'm just getting ready to go outside, and the TV's blaring because we always had the TV on loud, and the Halloween commercial plays, and it's got the guy with that TV announcer with the creepy voice, right? Talking about tonight premiering on ABC for the very first time, John Carpenter's now classic Halloween, and I think because Halloween 2 was coming out, it was around that point, and it was just one of the most insanely scary times of my childhood. There's that one, and one I'll talk about another time if we ever do a movie called Terror Train, because that one creeped the hell out of me for the exact same reason. Guys, for the younger people out there right now, the thing of seeing TV, horror movies on TV, it's just something that you're missing out on now because you can just go anywhere and just go Netflix, streaming, everything. But when you get these horror movies kind of just popping up randomly on television, you waited for October. You waited for these special times. These were event times, and they scared the hell out of you. It's
fun.
I think David Copperfield was the scariest in Terror Train.
I have a story about Terror Train. Actually.
He was creepy.
We should do Terror Train in the future. All right, Aaron, are you done?
I'm done. Oh, that's my.
Okay. All right, awesome. Well said. Sexy Sumo.
Yes,
Go
sir.
for it, brother.
Well, growing up as a kid, I saw this movie I think for the first time when it premiered on Fox. Remember when they used to have those Monday night movies, 8:00 at night. Get done with your homework and you just pop it on.
Yeah.
First time seeing it, obviously it's edited, so seeing its entirety was like, it was an okay film. Down the road, I saw it at the video store, rented it, and I was like, damn, this is a good movie. Seeing it in its uncensored way and seeing its entirety, it's like, wow, it's really good. And then moving on down, seeing the sequel to it, which followed right after it, which was something that's not too common because usually they kind of, go forward a couple of years or months. But this is directly right after the first one ends, which is really good. And just the sequences in there. I agreed with a lot of you guys when, the music obviously is iconic. A lot of the scenes, the creep factor, and the little nuances thrown there just makes it really eerie and scary, which is really good. But, growing up in a Mexican household, I've been watching movies since I was 6 years old. So nothing really scared me, but it was just really nice to see and really enjoy for what it was, and like I said, I've seen all of them. Do I like the majority of them? Probably not. But the first two really resonate really well, and they're really good. I even like the 2018 direct sequel to the first one, which was also really great, done. I'm looking forward to the next two that come out after that, because they look really good as well. But yeah, it's a lot of positives on that one. Negative wise, nothing really to nitpick at. It's a really well done movie for being Carpenter's early stuff. Being one of his first films, and then seeing all those actors that you see nowadays just, shining for the first time on a film like that is like, especially Jamie Lee Curtis, acting really gullible at the beginning and then really dramatic at the end is like, it's a really nice change for her, and it's really cool, man. It's really nice. But that's pretty much all I got. But I mean, like I said, I really liked the movie. It was really good.
Awesome. All right, Kung Fu Santa.
Now I get to ruin it for everybody. How many people saw this when it premiered in the theater? Anybody see it in the theater?
I've seen it in theater.
Yeah.
Did you see it when it came out?
No.
It was about a year or so after the
The premiere. Did you?
No, it's not about a year or two after when it kind of re-released.
Okay, you see, it's fascinating that I was there at the birth of slasher films, and I was kind of involved in them because I was working for Starlog. Then I went to Famous Monsters of Filmland, and Tom Savini always treasured me because I put his makeup for Jason on the cover of Famous Monsters, something he always wanted to happen to his makeup. And then I interviewed John Carpenter, and this is what reading from the Book of Rick, this is what John Carpenter said about the making of Halloween. It's not very long. Irwin had an idea. Irwin Yablon's the producer. Mm-hmm. Irwin had an idea to do The Babysitter Murders. And I went along because I wanted to make movies. At one point, Irwin called up and said, how about calling it Halloween and having it take place on Halloween night? At that point, this thing really took shape. No pun intended. What a great premise. Not make a movie about a babysitter killer, but make a movie about Halloween night. I sat down with Deborah Hill, who I had met when she served as script supervisor on Assault on Precinct 15, who was my writing partner and producer, and we produced a script in about 8 days. It followed the Maniac on the Loose premise, but we tried to make it a little bit more. 3 weeks later, we were shooting. We shot for 20 days, and it fell right into place. It was the simplest movie I ever made. All it was a stylistic exercise strung together with a threadbare plot. That's why it was so much fun. That's what he said. And that was awesome. And I was really looking forward to it. Now, for instance, Tony, you reacted to your childhood and that you knew it was the William Shatner mask. I reacted to Captain Kirk mask. I reacted to the fact that I grew up with James Bond. I grew up with Sherlock Holmes. So that's where I was a child. I grew up with the great Universal monsters and then with the great Hammer monsters. So when the slashers started happening, I'm like going, well, wait a minute. This doesn't, I had been taught to expect certain things to happen in what I considered horror movies. And it wasn't happening in these. But I watched Halloween, and I had one of the greatest experiences in a movie theater for Halloween that was only matched years later by The Sixth Sense. About halfway through now remember, I'm being brought up on Sherlock Holmes. Halfway through The Sixth Sense, I go, ooh, and also being a writer of both novels and nonfiction. I said, oh, wow, what if Bruce Willis is dead? And then I kept watching the movie and go, I think he is dead. I think he is dead. I think he is dead. And when it's exposed at the end that he's dead, I went, yo! I mean, I was gratified. It was
Spoilers.
Yeah. So I'm watching Halloween. And as I'm watching, I'm going, oh my God. He's not the boogeyman. I know exactly who he is. John Carpenter has made a Playfair murder mystery movie. He lays clues throughout the entire film. If you watch it again with what I'm going to say, and I won't tell you the solution unless you want to know the solution. In fact, Halloween has been very influential in my writing career. Halloween gave birth to this novel, Fear Itself. Halloween also gave birth to this novel, which I wrote under the name Wade Barker, and this is still my the Ninja Master series, which I wrote, still my biggest selling series. And this is entirely what I thought Halloween should have been. You want to know? I'll tell you. It's a Playfair mystery. Clue number 1. Loomis and his nurse come onto the sanitarium grounds and all the loonies are out on the lawn. Michael has let them loose. Clue number 2. The next time you see him, he's in Haddonfield. He's killed a cop, and I believe he's putting the cop in the trunk of the police car. Clue number 3. Now let's see, I don't want to miss clue number 3. Okay, the major, I'm missing a clue, but that doesn't matter. I'll get to the major clue. There's only one. Oh yeah, every time Michael is killed, he is not on screen for at least a couple of seconds. His body is out of sight. The final clue, not the final clue, but the penultimate clue, the clue that would have tipped Sherlock Holmes off, is that the only time he stops going after Laurie Strode was when she almost gets his mask off. He breaks away and pulls the mask back on. Are you sure that's from Halloween and not from Halloween 2? Because I don't remember seeing his
Halloween
face.
2, they cut his face off because they don't like the actor.
Okay, well, because he still broke away and put his mask back on. That's the only time. Why didn't he just keep him killing him? Why would he care that she saw his face? And if Sherlock Holmes or Hercule Poirot was doing a denouement, or Dr. Loomis was doing a denouement at the end, let me get to the last clue. Loomis shoots him 6 times. He goes off the balcony. They look down, he's gone. Well, yeah. If you're there, he's the boogeyman. If I'm there, I'm going, I know exactly what he did. The clues are there for you. Has anybody figured it out?
No, tell us.
Sherlock Holmes, Hercule Poirot, would go to Laurie and say, he stopped attacking you when you took his mask off. Why do you think that was?
Because it was an extension of himself.
You think he was afraid? No, remember, Sherlock and Hercule and Rick are not thinking this is supernatural. Mm-hmm. Are thinking it's just completely natural. He's a mass murderer. He's a serial killer. Mm-hmm. So, did he stop because he was afraid you would recognize him? Or was he afraid you wouldn't recognize him? That's the key with his body being missing for a couple of seconds and all the loonies being out on the lawn. When Michael Myers showed up in town, Michael Myers is too smart to do all the killing himself. He had all his psychotic friends with him from the sanitarium. And every time one of them got killed, they would take the mask off and give it to someone else. And at the end, that's what I was hoping would happen at the end. When Loomis looks out, and Loomis says, I know exactly what's happening, he calls out to Michael. Better yet, in this book, they go back to the sanitarium, and they find out, and they go to the boss's office in the sanitarium, and it turns out to be, in this book it's not called Michael Myers, by the way, no relation. It's not Michael Myers, it was another name in this book, but he is in the boss's office in the sanitarium because he got all his psychotic friends to kill all the actual staff, and he took over, the loonies had taken over the lunatic asylum. And so at the end of this thing, he would have called out Michael, and suddenly behind every bush and behind every tree, there would be a psycho with a mask on, and they would all look at him. That's the solution of the movie. So I'm watching the movie, doesn't happen, and I go, it's still a great movie, still love it. And then I don't know if John said this to me or he said it to another reporter, but at the time he said, I'm looking forward to Halloween 2 because there's some things I want to straighten out. And I thought, oh, great, Halloween 2 is going to be that, where they're going to reveal that it was all that planned. And of course, Halloween 2 is like to my mind, the worst in the series. So that's where these books came up with me rewriting the series. And we will continue this little story because I've also interviewed Wes Craven and know him very well when we get to the next one. So my issue is not with the movie that was left, but the movie that I wanted it to be. And that's why I wanted it to be that way. Because I like rationality and justice.
Right. So you were expecting a whole different reveal.
I was thrilled for that whole different reveal. And I don't hold it against Halloween. I hold it against Halloween 2.
Okay.
Really, because Halloween as a film on its own is awesome.
So Myers has a playful side here. He took some time out to put a sheet on and some glasses. That's how we do it, right?
That's not Michael.
Driving around town, You know,
There's
following safety protocol.
Glasses.
Well,
all right.
I enjoyed hearing
go ahead,
that.
Yeah, me too.
I enjoyed hearing that, and I find it very interesting. But for me personally, I don't see that. I don't see how one loony can organize all the other loonies towards his thing. Why, if they're free, they wouldn't pursue their own things. And I always took it back to his original crime of killing the sister. So once he got free, he went back to that town to look for other girls like his sister. That's how I always saw the psychology.
He also protects, but again, that only works if he's supernatural. If he's a human being, it doesn't work because he keeps getting killed. So, and the point here is that, of course, when he's in the sanitarium, because he's very smart, he's got the last name Myers.
I'm not sure. I agree that he gets killed. I'm not sure I agree that he gets killed. Maybe he gets. Yeah. I don't know.
Well, he gets shot point blank in the chest. Oh, and that's the other clue. When he kills the cop, he could have used the bulletproof vest.
I think you have a good movie there, but it's not like Halloween. Because the problem is
after I did.
Because Dr. Loomis knows exactly how Michael Myers looks. So when he took off his mask, it was Michael Myers. And also, John Carpenter wrote the sequel. John Carpenter wrote the sequel, and he was influenced by the Empire Strikes Back reveal of Darth Vader being Luke's father. That's why he made Laurie Strode the sister. And John Carpenter, actually, from what I understand, I could be wrong, but I keep hearing over and over he had no interest in continuing that series. It was like a one and done.
He did Wes Craven, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I would say just real quick.
Oh, go ahead.
When he takes the mask off, he puts it back on because his face is disfigured, and he doesn't want Laurie to see his fucked up face. I think that's how I interpreted that.
Actually, that's what's great about this movie, all the different interpretations. But I will say this: what scared me the most was that he actually looks normal after he takes off his mask. That eyeball being swollen is a result of Laurie hitting him with the clothes hanger inside the closet. So he's not. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say when he was a kid and he killed his sister, he also wore a mask. So to kill, he has to put the mask on. He has
something with that.
He has to shield himself to kill.
Yeah, I think see it like kind of a dissociative identity disorder type of thing.
Yeah,
I kind of like gives you like this whole persona that you can actually do things that you wouldn't normally do. Like when the mask comes off, I don't see him like it's taken off. Like the whole sister thing. John Carpenter was drunk. He was drunk when he did that. He hated that.
Yeah, I heard about that. Yeah, he's like, he had writer's block, and he's like, making the sister.
Before we go,
a horrible idea.
I would like to ask April how you feel about this. The other thing that I've been unhappy about lately is that Michael Myers gets to go through his life and do what he wants to do. Laurie has to suffer and give up her life because of what he did to her. And in these new sequels, I was very unhappy about that. I thought that was just patently unfair, that the killer gets to live the life he wants. Poor Laurie has to pay with the sanity of her entire life. How do you feel about that?
Well, the way I saw it, the way I always saw the movie is that it was just a single contained movie, and he was the little brother that grew up. Like I said, he came back to the town. That was his obsession. He wasn't supernatural in the first one. They had to make him that and add those elements to keep going, to keep creating the sequel. So the part you're talking about how it affected the life and that he got to keep going is a device of making sequels.
Right. That's one of the reasons that ruined the slasher movie. But again, we'll get onto that in Nightmare on Elm Street.
All right.
Also, I want to add one more plus about Halloween is there's not just one track or song or whatever you want to call it. We always think of the dun 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 dun. All right, but there's also dun 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 dun. Dun. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. There's like 4 or 5 of them that are awesome. Dun, dun, yeah, dun, 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 dun. There's a lot of creepiness in there, and it sounds like shit and awesome at the same time.
By the way, you were absolutely right. John Carpenter was well aware of Giallo. He was
there you go, Aaron.
Also very well aware that's why he loved this soundtrack, because it was his homage to those great soundtracks.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next movie. Let's do this. Okay, let's move on here. Nightmare on Elm Street came out 1994. Just want to make sure you guys are aware.
Wasn't it 78?
Right. Is it 78, 72? I'll get the date one day. All right. This movie I saw clips of when I was a youngin', and my sisters had cable, and they were watching it, and this scared the crap out of me, man. It scared the crap out of me. I couldn't even watch all of it. Like, I just peek out from behind the couch, and then little samurai go run away, and then in the bedroom and just hide, So I really didn't get a chance to see it until later, until I got a little bit older. I did see this before Halloween, though. But when I finally got a chance to watch it, of course, pan and scan, edited on TV. That's how we do it. It's the only way we could do it back then. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot. I actually loved it more when I saw it on VHS, uncut, R-rated. That's how we do it. The gore, the excitement, the blood. It's getting nasty here. I loved it even more. And so over time, man, I just became a huge, Freddy Krueger fan, and I enjoy the sequels. I like some sequels, more than others. My personal favorite is Dream Warriors. That's my personal favorite out of the whole franchise. I love it. But this one, I had to rewatch it to see if it still holds up, to prepare for Versus. So I haven't watched this in years. It's been a long time. And I watched it, still enjoyed it, still had fun with it. Obviously when you get older, some things that may have scared you as a child, you kind of laugh a little bit now. You still have fun with it. You're still nostalgia about it. But you kind of have to laugh a little bit. Now, this scared the crap out of me for some reason, if I could find it here. This shot of Freddy scared the shit out of me. When I was little. This scared the shit out of me, man. Like, I was like, no. Where's my pillow? I'm putting it over my face. Now when I watch it, it's hilarious. Now I kind of crack up looking at it now. Still have fun with it. I still like the scene. But there's stuff like that, especially when you have scenes like, I'm your boyfriend now. It's hilarious. It's fun. It's fun. But there's, like I said, it wasn't as scary as it was when I was younger, obviously. But did I have a blast watching it? Oh, man. It's a classic. I love this movie. It's really good. And it's interesting because it's almost like it's a supernatural slasher now, in a way. And the visuals, for such a low-budget movie, this is another independent type flick. But there's some really memorable and iconic visuals that stick with you, man. There's so much good stuff. And it's so bad when they had the cheap set to pull this off, and they still made it work. But yet in the big-budget remake,
big time,
they fucked it up. It's like, really? You have all this money, you have all this time now, and you could not make this iconic shot memorable for your movie, And that's the problem with a lot of modern-day horror movies. They miss the point. It's all CGI heavy. It'll work as long as we get the butts in it. But it's like people don't remember. I think I was already falling asleep with the opening credits of the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. I was already falling asleep just from the opening credits. And I felt sorry for the actor who played Freddy in that, because he's actually a good actor, but it's not his fault. But that's another discussion. Remakes. That's another discussion versus remakes. We'll do that in the future. But yeah, it's iconic. It's fantastic. I like the score. I like Halloween's score better, but I still love the score in this one. But in terms of negative things to talk about it, I can't really think of a lot to smash it with. But overall, as of right now, unless I think of something else later, phenomenal film. Love it. Lewis.
Yeah, man. I gotta say, I'm gonna tell you right now, I pick Halloween, but don't ever think just because we criticize. Well, just because we criticize, it's a versus, right?
Yeah.
So we're gonna talk about what makes Halloween better, or whatever. But don't think by no stretch of the imagination that Nightmare on Elm Street is a bad movie. This is freaking. It's like Awesome 1 versus Awesome 2, in my opinion. This versus, right? So it's not. It's just we're doing the debate, the fun, whatever. But holy cow, man! I remember this film. The older kids were telling me, "Nah, you gotta watch. It's on cable, or whatever." And I put it on. It was this movie's trippy, dude. Like it's a trip. The way it's filmed, it's just like you don't know who's awake, who's sleeping, when you're awake, when you're sleeping. The adult, the thing that got me here too, or one of them, the adults are assholes. You know, like you don't even know what is this real or they're just assholes. You know, shout out to It Chapter 1 borrowed that kind of tone for the first film, right? Which I really liked as well. But yeah, this movie, and talk about the creativity of the 80s. Not only does Freddy come at you in the dreams, which they would have made a movie just that's it. He has a glove that extends like Wolverine claws. I mean, it's like a double whammo, right? So yeah, man, this movie all the way around is awesome. If I have to nitpick, it's like I think it doesn't follow its own rules within its own movie. I thought it was awesome how you could go into a dream state and pull things out of the dream. And I felt like eventually they were going to pull Freddy out and make him real when I first saw it. And then they don't do that. Like what? And then the ending is like, what's going on? But it's a what's going on in a way that I don't care what's going on because it already like it went to like too much. Like what is the rules here?
Is she still asleep? What's going on?
Yeah. In opposed to Halloween, you're like, well, he's crazy. That's why he has all that strength. And he's crazy. That's why he took the bullets, but 6 of them is a lot. So is he supernatural or is it? So you got kind of like, you're debating. It's more interesting. And opposed to, Nightmare on Elm Street, it's like, what's going on here? It just, it gets too out there for me. That's the only criticism, but it's not really a criticism because I still like it.
Yeah.
That's the best way to explain it for me. Sequel wise, I like Halloween 1, Halloween 2, Halloween 4, and I guess that those are the cream of the crop for me. And as far as Nightmare, it's 1 and 3 are the good ones, but then the remake, like you said, is awful. Freddy got too much into like one-liner type of thing, but I'll still watch them and enjoy them. F it, But yeah, that's what I gotta say. That's why I pick Halloween more. It's more just basic slasher and stuff. And when you started getting to supernatural horror, like too much, I don't know what the rules are, and that's one of the reasons I don't like The Conjuring. It's like, what? How, are these like what's going on here? Like, there's a demon over there that if you do this, you stop it. But then you do this and it's still going on. It's like, what?
Did you enjoy the original Candyman?
No.
Oh,
or Hellraiser. Okay. Or Hellraiser.
Oh, wow. All right.
But I understand there's a fan base for them, and I would never say, hey, F those.
Yeah, it's just not your thing.
Conjuring based on fact.
Come on, bro. I had respect for you before you said that.
I'm sorry you don't believe it, but it was. I met.
So is Psycho. So is, and it's fact that people have 2 legs. Like, no, man, it's a stretch. It's a stretch
for you.
Well, that's another versus though.
What Conjuring movie are you talking about?
Yeah, we're talking about
are based on actual facts of the Warren couple doing research and investigations into real life supernatural happenings.
But and none of they're loosely based off of
they're loosely, bro, like really loosely.
Well, only one of us is in a position to actually say that because only one of us actually read the actual reports.
Huh.
So yes,
okay.
Yeah, and have you read the reports that disprove them? Have you read the report?
I've read their book. I met them. They autographed their book to me.
Oh, okay. So if they autographed the book, that makes it all real.
Oh my
Well,
God.
more real.
All right, that's the next versus. The Conjuring franchise coming up soon. We gotta move on. We gotta move on.
I love you, man. I gotta get going, but I picked
right,
Halloween.
Lewis.
Thanks
All right, you
everyone
picked Halloween.
for being here. I'll keep watching.
Man,
I'm gonna go.
subscribe to Nerd Report. See you next time, brother.
Bye-bye.
Conjuring versus coming up.
Conjuring, it's real.
Have a good one.
Conjuring,
all right.
Wow.
April.
Oh, I get to go next. All right. Well, like I said before, I feel like both of these are 2 horror masters up against each other. The stuff that was great about Nightmare on Elm Street. Of course, Johnny Depp's first role, and he dies in a most amazing way. So that's awesome. And I have to agree that at the level of effects, and most of them done as real effects, not CG. I don't think, in fact, probably all of them, for the budget and for the time, they all were amazing. All the things, the walking, you showed a bunch of them already. Yeah, there we go. Spinning around the room, walking, through those steps that are like, mushy, and all the things that, all this stuff was really incredible. And I think it also had a great score, a very scary score, but it also had the jump rope, the 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you, 3, 4, that became creepy as hell and really iconic. So that's really, really huge for me too. And Heather Langenkamp, she really is the character that pulls you through and you believe her situation. And I actually, one of my friends is in American Horror Story. And when I went to visit her on set for American Horror Story Freak Show down in New Orleans, Heather Langenkamp was working on that show. I think in hair and makeup or something. So I actually met her there. She was working on that series.
Cool.
And she still, is recognized for that role and goes to all the conferences where there's fans, and we're with her on that journey. Even though you could argue all the acting is not that great, but it still somehow works. Not just her acting. I'm talking about everybody's in the film.
Right.
The body bag down the hallway at school. That's another one that's so iconic.
Oh yeah.
That is. Oh.
I'm done. Somebody else take it from there. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that still to this day disturbs me. That the way the bugs come out of her mouth and all that.
All right, Tony, go for it.
Oh, okay. I think one of the scariest things about the movie is that this is based off a true story. Like the kid having a nightmare and then dying, and like inspiration for the movie. Like that right there is like scary enough, that you could like die in your sleep for real by something. And now while this one might not be my favorite nightmare movie, like I'm a dream warrior as well. In fact, I like them all for them how they are. Dream Child, I like most of it.
Yeah,
but I'm not like a big fan of the movie itself. I could skip it,
I like 4. Everyone hates 4. I thought
4
was fun.
I like 4 as well.
It's fun.
Freddy's Dead is the shitty one.
Yeah,
Freddy's Dead is not shitty.
Yeah,
Freddy's Dead has 3D monsters that come at you.
The power glove.
Power.
And the second Nightmare actually has grown on me. I'm actually a fan of it now.
Second Nightmare is very good. But anyway, we're not talking about that.
We're having fun though. Go ahead.
Yeah. Watching it nowadays, you could see some things like where she's walking up the stairs where you showed that picture, and you could see where there's the parts where she's supposed to, so that kind of takes me away from it a little bit at times. But like the fact that like he can kill you in your dreams is scary enough. Is you can't stay awake, because then if you do, you saw in the remake what happens if you're up too long. He can attack you in and out of a dreamscape while you're alive. And I only ever watched the remake once, and at first I was like, it kind of sucked. It sucked, but there's good things about it. Like I like what I just said about him flashing in and out of the dream and
that was
coming back. And
that was
they actually made him what he's supposed to be. Like he's like a child serial killer, but he's actually worse than that, and they made him that in that the R word. I don't want to say it,
right.
But it's
for the
like
remake,
yeah, and but the face it was terrible looking.
Yeah,
but I mean it was just like so scary. He was so scary. I actually used to dream. This is fucked up. I used to dream that I was watching him chase people in front of like a sanitarium or something, and I was for some reason like Spider-Man hanging on the wall, and then I helped him kill people. So any psychiatrists watching, just message me. I need some help.
Wow.
But I was gonna say something before, and I can't think of
he was
like the
scary.
fact that you can pull him out, but the thing is, he was real, and then they did kill him, and then they brought him to be this like dream god. That's why they pull him out so many times, and then he can get killed, and it's like it doesn't matter. He's just gonna go back to where he was. I mean, the guy influenced Jason to kill for him, but that's another verses, I guess. But I really like the movie. Again, not my favorite in the franchise, but I like it. I like the second one. The second one's weird, but like it's great.
It's like good. It's good weird now.
It's good weird now, yeah. I like that. It finally got its popularity and everything. Is that the guy that played the actor? Like he couldn't get work after that, like for a while. But
yeah, there's a documentary on it. I heard it was really good. I haven't watched
Scream
it yet.
Queen.
Yeah, I'll have to check.
Really
that
good
out.
documentary.
Were there any other negatives, Tony, or
negative? Well, not really. I would say the Johnny Depp bed. Halloween never had anybody throwing up in a theater from a scene. And
this is amazing. I'm gonna play it. Play this GIF here while you keep talking, Tony.
And,
this is
of course the
phenomenal.
John Saxon.
Yeah, John Saxon, man.
He had that like weird, incestual like relationship with her, which makes you uncomfortable as well. So not only you're afraid of this guy in dreams and you don't know where he's going to pop up and do what, but it's like, is he going to hit on his daughter again?
I'm just going to leave this on for the rest of the stream. What do you think?
That's fine.
Do it.
But yeah, love that scene. All right. Let's move
That's
on.
how I used to look when I was like 23 years old. I used to drink cherry vodka all the time.
This guy. Chaos, go for it, man.
Classy. I'm a sucker for imagination. I'm a sucker for creativity. And if there's one thing this movie has is an abundance of creativity. It is leaps and bounds over anything in this genre in terms of its imagination and in terms of what it delivers the audience. And I like that. I like that when a horror movie gives me something new to look at, something new to experience. Something nobody's talked about yet is Robert Englund. He is Freddy. Without this guy, this character would not be as unique and iconic. David Warner was going to play him at one point. I can't even see that. I don't even know what that would have been like. That would have felt almost like Christopher Lee playing Freddy. It just feels so weird, a weird choice. But Robert Englund just nails it. And not only that, he loves it. He's come back for every movie that he's been asked to come back for, and he loves the fans. Sure, he charges $100 an autograph, but that's fine. That pays the bills.
Got to make a living.
Exactly. But the fact that he created a character and it became such not only an iconic character but such a part of his life, and that he hasn't like Jamie Lee sort of like no I want nothing to do with this franchise anymore until she realized she wasn't getting any more work, and now I want to be in all of them somehow. He never gave up on Freddy, and Freddy never gave up on him. And this movie it's masterfully made, and like Tony said, I didn't even know that it was based on a true story until I did research, and the craziness of the actual true story is so bizarre and so frightening that I think will prevent people from going to sleep more than Freddy. Now we mentioned, Freddy gets you in your sleep, so he's scarier. Michael Myers can kill you whenever, during daytime or nighttime. He's coming after you. But in terms of creativity, I think Nightmare on Elm Street edges Halloween out, and I'm not going to say what I'm voting for just yet. But when it comes to my decision, I'm gonna pretend that these are one and done movies, and that I just watched them, and nice. Then I'm gonna decide that way.
Nice, I like that.
Because it's so hard. We have different connections to these movies. I was never a big Nightmare guy. I still am not really a giant Nightmare guy. when the Blu-rays came out, I don't even have them on Blu-ray, man, and I buy everything. I still have the DVD set. Halloween, I've got 800 copies of that. VHS, Laserdisc. I've got 3 different Blu-rays.
It still isn't deciding who you're voting for, right?
It still isn't deciding, but I'm just saying, but it's a toss-up as to. But I'm saying this is my connection to the franchise.
Gotcha.
But when I decide, it will be coming at what the movies deliver by themselves. Nightmare is a great movie. It's very well done. Like April said, the acting is not excellent. I love Heather. I think she's great. I've met her. My daughter and I met her. She's watched Nightmare on Elm Street, and Heather's really nice, very kind. In the movie, she's not the best. I would even say Johnny Depp is still trying to figure his shit out. And Rod, the guy who plays Rod as well, Tina as well. There's some cringy moments when it comes to the dialogue. But I just love this movie's balls. And you can put that on the box and put that on the back of the box. I like this movie's balls.
But that is a testament that it still works and it's still good despite the acting not being great across the board. That it overcomes that.
Yes.
Absolutely. If a movie can do that, then yeah, it'll stand the test of time. However, Michael Myers can be remade semi-successfully, whereas Nightmare on Elm Street seems to not be able to. We got that remake; it was trash. Done. I don't even think we're gonna see him for a while. I think even Jason's gonna come back before Freddy does. So I don't know. Does that speak to the characters? Does that speak to the love of the franchise? I don't know. But it's a toss up. But this is a thumbs up movie for sure, and it's a really tough decision, and that's me.
Nice.
We did have Jason come back in that remake.
Yeah, and that was a good remake.
I liked it.
Jason's easy to remake. All you need is naked people in the woods and Jason.
All you need is somebody in a mask. Nobody's Freddy Robert Englund. That's
exactly
thing. Right.
Yeah, that's what makes Nightmare so special, that you can't do it without Robert Englund.
And I don't think you can do it without Wes Craven, but we'll get to me.
All right, Pin.
Oh, me? Okay. Sorry. Yes, I love Nightmare on Elm Street. I will tell you right now, it never scared me. Ever. And I saw it in theater back in 1984. But I love it. I love Robert Englund. I love his performance in the film. Heather Langenkamp, I think, I'm going to say this is going to be a little bit controversial. I think she's a better final girl than Jamie Lee Curtis in the film, because I like the fact that we do get a continuation with her, and it goes in a different way than like Jamie Lee Curtis. It's every time she comes back, it's all about PTSD. That's what it is. It's PTSD. Heather Langenkamp's a survivor, and that I like, that I enjoyed, that he wanted to do something different. But that's another film. So going back to this one here, I love the dark fantasy aspect of it. I love the score of the film too. Actually, I think it has a really good score. I think Amanda Weiss is a bit stronger, in my opinion, of an actress at that time than Heather Langenkamp was. And I was actually kind of surprised when I originally watched the film in the theater that Tina was the one that died, because I thought we were going to be following Tina, and they bait and switched. And of course, that's, we meet Tina first, kind of on purpose, kind of like a psycho type of thing. I know the things that took me out of it was some of as good as like a lot of the effects were. One of the most hilarious things that I've seen is that like those long arms, like I cracked up in the theater of that. It's like it almost like it's got those roughly kind of like, they're like huge pipes things, but it looks like a mariachi type band type play. And it got me. Even in the theater when I first saw this, I thought this was hilarious. But Robert Englund is fantastic in this. And hey, give credit to Johnny Depp and his crop shirt. I remember the 80s. I remember those crop shirts, those short crop shirts. I wore those back then. So
styling.
Right on. And they do show it in the remake, by the way. The crop shirt shows it in the remake. One of the only good things about the remake. That and the micronet aspect of it. But no, I utterly adore this film. I love, even it didn't scare me, but I love a lot of aspects of the film itself. Love the cast. I don't think it's as bad acting wise as it's not, it's not perfect, but for like young, fresh actors, like Johnny Depp, like it's crazy because he didn't like this was his thing to do one acting role so he could get his band going, and that kind of went a different direction. That's like Meatloaf, who started to do music so he could get his acting career going, and both of them kind of switched directions of what they were going to do. But I utterly adored it. I liked. I can't think of a lot like negative except for the fact that some of the effects are dodgy, and the big arm effect is dodgy still by the standards of 1984. But most of the effects, I think, still work well. The practical effects work better. The fact that they remade this and they had the CGI to use and did not make a nightmare-scape world blows my mind. And the other thing that I have to say is, unlike most people, and I'm proud of everybody else in this one here, I don't consider this a slasher film. I don't consider this a slasher film at all. I think this is a dark fantasy horror. I don't see it as a slasher film. I know that, technically he's got razor blades, and he's got the knives and he slashes people, but on the very bare minimum, do I think it's a slasher film?
Not even a supernatural slasher?
I'm iffy on supernatural slashers. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you. But I like some of them. And I grew up with slashers. I'm an '80s kid. Slashers were my generation, much in the way that Rick grew up with the monster films and the creature features. Slashers, that was my thing. That was my childhood. But when we got there, it's like getting a T-shirt from our merch store. Suspiria is not a giallo, and that's gonna be a shirt. I'm doing that because people keep saying that, and they're wrong. It's not a giallo. Nightmare on Elm Street is not a slasher. It's a dark fantasy, and that's not a bad thing to be. Because there's not, a ton of really fantastic dark fantasy films. There's a few, like Phantasm, stuff like that. Yeah. But it's a great category to be in. I guess that's the best way to go. I didn't consider it a slasher film.
All right, so Sumo.
Yo, so going back to when I said watching movies, scary movies at the age of 6, Nightmare on Elm Street was the first movie I saw when I was 6 years old.
Oh my God.
Look, I went to a cousin's house, hanging out. All the bigger kids decided to pop it into the VHS.
I'm jealous.
I just happened to be in the room. And again, being in a Hispanic household, there are no rules. We watch what we want to watch. If there's boobs and nudity, we do this. Everything else is go. Yeah, exactly. So watching this for the first time, dude, my mind was blown. It was just so great, and I don't know if it's a twisted thing that a 6-year-old would think that's so great, but I fucking loved it. It was great.
Yeah. Nice.
All right. Watching this, seeing the practical effects on this. I mean, I don't know if Wes Craven was the first person to design the spinning room to make that effect of the girl, going along the wall and walking upside down, but it was a pretty genius idea to use to make that effect. I mean, just look at that. That's just great. And then again with the blood effects and the nightmare sequences, obviously the first one and the New Nightmare to me were the darkest out of the whole entire series. And then part 2 also is a very great movie. I really enjoyed that one. And then going on with the rest of them, that's when they started getting a little cheesier over time, with the comedic element and all that stuff. So I still enjoyed them. I still watch them. Why? Because they're fun to watch. With Halloween, you get it. It's a straight up slasher film. It is what it is. It's a very just one tone effect, and it's like, okay, cool. But with Nightmare on Elm Street, it just it goes crazy at times, and it's really fun to watch, And then, like I said, growing up, this is my first DVD that I purchased. I'm a little sad that the Blu-ray took out the 3D element out of Part 6. That really was awful, but I love the 3D effect. I saw Freddy's Dead in the theaters, and I wish I would have kept the damn glasses because those were like the coolest glasses, but I lost them. But again, growing up with these movies, to me, it was just it's always been a wonderful thing to see. And to this day, I mean, again, I agree with everybody. The sequel is terrible. It's trash. Not the sequel, the remake. Oh, just awful. But the rest of the franchise, loved it.
All right, excellent. Kung Fu Santo.
By the way, that effect with the wall, was probably originally done in a musical with Fred Astaire called Easter Parade.
Oh, nice.
Where he dances on the ceiling and on the walls. And there was a little bit of that in 2001: A Space Odyssey as well, but that's neither here nor there. Anyway, in another adventure, I was asked to be special media consultant for the revival of The Twilight Zone and on CBS in the mid-'80s. And we had William Friedkin was one of the directors. John Milius was one of the directors there. And it was awesome to be on the lot and on the set. It was the same lot where they were also filming Hill Street Blues and St. Elsewhere and the Bob Newhart Show, which was also, and I could go anywhere I wanted and do anything I wanted. But nothing was better than the day, because in the Twilight Zone, we were doing different stories with different directors for each story. Nothing surpassed the day that Wes Craven came onto the lot. I was thrilled because, again, having worked with Fangoria, Famous Monsters, Movie Monsters, Starlog, and others, and also doing the book, I had already written about his past. I hadn't gotten up to Nightmare on Elm Street and the subsequent things that he did. But already I was idolizing him because I think somebody else said, yeah, I think Cult Cinema, you said this as well, and other people were saying about what the difference in Nightmare on Elm Street is the difference between a craftsman and an artist. As far as I'm concerned, I've studied Shakespeare, I've appeared in Shakespeare. Shakespeare wrote entertainment for the masses. It's only later that it became culture with a capital K. I consider Wes Craven the Shakespeare of slashers. Because you look at The Hills Have Eyes, you look at Last House on the Left, which was based on an Ingmar Bergman movie, Virgin Spring. He never does anything on the surface. If you look under the surface of Nightmare on Elm Street, now you were talking, you made a definition that it didn't scare you. Nothing scares me. Death doesn't scare me. Spiders don't scare me anymore. Man's inhumanity to man often scares me. But when I go to the movie, I see the movie. I want to see the movie do something. I'm not expecting to be scared because the only thing they can do nowadays is the jump scares. And it's like, and even that I'm rolling my eyes. Nightmare on Elm Street, I thought, was genius because what is horror? Terror, most slasher movies are terror movies, which is fear of the known. Most supernatural movies are fear of the unknown. That's what the definition of horror is. What is the baseline of Nightmare on Elm Street? Where does horror come from? What scares everybody? Well, I'll tell you what scares everybody, whatever scares them. It comes from you. It comes from inside your own mind. Dare I say it, your dreams, your nightmares. That's what, I had a nightmare when I was a kid that was so bad that I was paralyzed for a minute and a half when I woke up. And that was just sounds and sights. You created it. Wes Craven was smart enough to make a movie about what real fear was, which was inside your own mind. And did I write a book about it? Of course I wrote a book about it. I wrote the third book in the Book of the Undead series that I wrote. It's called Worst Nightmare. Second one, by the way, in case you want to know, is Living Hell, and that was my rewrite of The Omen. But that's neither here nor there. But in any case, the trick in Worst Nightmare is Freddy would never work unless you were scared of it, unless the fear was coming from your own fears and from you. If you stop for a second, which is what happens to the girl in this book, if you stop for a second and just say, hey, this guy's a child molester from hell. If he can come back from the dead, anybody can. I can. Once Freddy shows up, or once anybody from a ghost shows up or a demon shows up, that's proof of life after death. And at that point, you've got nothing to be afraid of. Because, okay, we don't just go into nothingness. But because it came from their own minds, and that's Wes Craven. Wes Craven didn't want to do number 2, but he wanted to do number 3. He came back for number 3. The plot he had for number 2 was the one he came back for later on, A New Nightmare. That was his plot of number 2. But he came and redid that. But number 3, which is still the best of all time, because that's what Heather got to do. She got to say, there's no reason I should be afraid of this guy. He should be afraid of me. In all my slasher concepts and my slasher movie ideas, it's always a matter of the female victim. And that's another reason that this was so popular and I got onto the Incredibly Strange Film Show. Because in this book, I differentiate between a female character who's debased and a female character who is degraded. And if you're debased, yeah, you're the victim. But if the only reason that you're in the movie is to be slaughtered, then you're degraded. And I didn't like that. I want all my victims to get pushed so much that they go, fuck this. I'm fighting back. And that's what I was happy with Laurie. But again, she was so depressed. She was an alcoholic and all this sort of stuff. And I was sort of like going, your mind is strong enough because you create these fears in your own mind. You also can create your own dreams in your own mind and just sort of say, fuck you, man. You should be afraid of me. And go after him and his dreams, which is something Rick and Morty did, which was kind of sweet. So, yeah, so basically I think Halloween in terms of slasher movies is the best eye candy. But Nightmare on Elm Street is the thing that I'm always looking for, the best mind candy. I don't want to just have entertainment for my eyes. I also want to have it for my brain. Guess who I'm voting for?
Friday the 13th.
Now, I have a comment on that. What you just said is a different take, but that's never. It's very interesting, but it's never how I saw that the movie Nightmare on Elm Street, because there's this extra. So there is the stuff in the mind and in the dreams, and that she's scared of. But then there's this extra thing that happens where the mom takes her to the boiler room and shows her, the gloves, and that he was a real person. But we killed him. The parents killed him so he wouldn't harm the children. But he's still back to harm their children. And so even though mommy killed him, and even though her dad is a cop, neither of them can protect her. So it's a teen growing up, coming of age, and realizing that the parents can't protect her. She has to do it herself. So the idea of the layer of the dream being the fear, that's one layer. But when you add that part that the mother tells about the story, I think that's the layer that I always felt like the film was really about.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Absolutely true.
Yeah, that was, especially rewatching it. I mean, that was, excuse me, that was trippy, man. It was just like, oh, so you lied to us this whole time? What drove me nuts at the end, though, was that one cop drove me insane. Heather's busting out the window, the first window. Help! He's in here, help! And the guy's like, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be.
You can only trust yourself.
I want to kill the cop so bad.
There's a great line in Loki, where she says, the one who's in control has the freedom. And I'm saying, well, if you think about it, we all have control of one thing, ourselves.
Right.
So that's another great thing about that movie. You're absolutely right. It's teaching her to go, okay, let's go. No one else can protect me. I'm going to protect you.
Oh, that cop was driving me crazy. After like the third window she breaks the window in the door. Help! I guess I'll get her dad. Like 10 minutes later. But yeah, April brought up a good point. But yeah, that's one of the most intriguing parts of the story is the parents lied. They murdered him and they covered it up. I mean, it's very interesting. Very interesting.
Craven always has levels if you look for them.
Can I say one thing? Rick said about like jump scares and everything nowadays. The only thing nowadays, and I might have said this before, that I'm still to see it freaks me out, and it's actually legitimately scares me, is the nun in The Conjuring 2.
Oh, wow.
I think she is. I'm like legit terrified of her. Like I couldn't even look at a picture. I'm like, nope. She's terrifying. I'm sorry.
The painting scene, man, when her hands came
out.
She like
shut up. Oh
that
my
was great.
God. Because it's like something's gonna happen with that fucking painting. And then the painting alone.
There it goes.
I got goosebumps. I have goosebumps.
I'm buying you that painting, Tony.
You're not. It's my screensaver, actually. No.
Love this scene at the end. Still love this scene. Love it. Just snatched up mom. Boop. It's still a dream. Or is it? Yeah, still love that. But my favorite line in the movie is when he's chasing his first victim, and she goes, "God, please," and he goes, "This is God." It was great. This is like this line here is fucking gangster, man. Like, this is just great. That's my favorite line in the movie. So let's go ahead. It's time to vote now. Remember, with verses and with voting, remember, it could be for any reason why you're choosing the winner. It could be you could be a critic about it, right? You could be a critic about it, or you know what? I'm biased. I like this character more than the other character. It could be for any reason. Okay, so before we get that, make sure that's clear. All right. So, go ahead.
Quick interjection. Because you had to bring up the knife. At the end of this book, when the 12-year-old girl that this child molester from hell who comes back, who was a Danbury cop, confronts her, he decides to try to torment her by pretending he's Freddy. And so he has blades come out of his fingers. And at this point, she's an avenging angel. And she just smiles and she goes, okay. And then she has blades come out of her fingers. Then she has blades come out of her teeth. Then she has blades come out of her eyes. Then she has blades come out of every single cell, every single pore. And then she widens her arm and goes, "Come here." And gives him a big hug. That's the end of this book.
Spoilers. Copy that. That's it. So all we need is Rick to write the script and April to direct it. That's all we need. And we're good to go.
Send you the book.
Time to vote. April, you go first. I'll go last. Go ahead, April.
Oh, I'm Halloween all the way. I mean, I really like both films. I think they all did important things for the genre. I think they're both fantastic filmmakers, but I think across the board, Halloween is a better film.
All right, copy that. Tony.
Oh shit, I'm second.
So that's two for Halloween.
Again,
so
I
far,
still like Halloween. I still like Halloween. But
all right. This is getting interesting. Remember, Chaos and Pin could be for any reason. You don't have to be a critic about it, or you could be a critic about it. Go ahead, Chaos.
Oh man, I almost want you to leave me for last because this is really tough.
Sumo, we'll go to Sumo. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sumo, go ahead.
Like I said, this I saw it as a kid. It's a childhood favorite.
Okay.
And it continues to be my favorite. I'm just bummed out that John Saxon didn't do any martial arts in it. That would have been great. You know? Kick and punches would have been awesome. You know, but it's this guy.
Oh, all right. So it's 2-2 now. Aaron?
This was hard. Now, I think you thought that because I said it didn't scare me, that was a negative. It wasn't. It wasn't meant to be a negative. It's just meant to be like the way that I saw the film at the time. Other ones scared me. But this was hard for me. I came in wondering sort of what I was going to pick, but being more on one side than the other. I came in with Nightmare on Elm Street as my pick initially because I love Craven. And I love Craven's body work. I love what he's done. And he's reinvented like film and genres. And over the years, Scream brought slashers back. But I feel if I choose it, I'm choosing it because I love Craven. And I'm not choosing it because of the film itself. And I do love both of these films. I don't think this is Craven's strongest film. I'm sorry. I mean, I love The Hills Have Eyes. I love New Nightmare. I really do. I think that the commentary that it does is fantastic, and I love his Scream films. I love Scream 4. I do. I actually like Scream 4 probably the second most out of all the Screams.
It's the best sequel.
It is. It's like and it's the scariest because the killer is scary. Jill is scary. She'll kill anyone. Her parents, her friends, doesn't matter. She will kill. But the movie that scares me, that keeps me up at night to this day, that if I hear the music, I tense up.
All right. There it is. Chaos.
This is my precious.
Mine's on eBay.
Damn. Now Aaron's
so we tie now?
the other way.
What are we in?
I think what is that?
We're tied.
Is it a tie now? Oh no,
Yep.
wait.
No. We forget about Lewis. So that's 3-2.
3-2.
Okay.
As of right now.
Damn it. Okay, if it was based on directors, I'm a Carpenter guy. I love everything he's made, except The Ward. But I even like Ghost of Mars and Vampires. I think those are fun movies. I love Carpenter. I love the way he makes a movie. Wes Craven. I've never been a giant Wes Craven fan. Scream is my favorite Wes Craven movie. But I mean, I like his movies, but I'm not over the moon about his cinema. So if it was based on directors, it would be Halloween. If it was based on first time watch, it would be Nightmare on Elm Street. So I'm very torn. Jesus. If it's based on legacy, it would be Halloween. But if it's based on balls,
based on what's your pick? There you go. Remember, if we do this again a year later, you could change your pick.
Yeah, right. We might have to. Halloween. I'll go with Halloween.
Okay.
Halloween.
It's 4-2.
Ouch.
All right, Rick.
Nightmare.
Yeah.
4-3. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's 4-3. I am right about that, right?
Yeah.
Because I can't add. I'm horrible with math. Okay.
Oh, that means if you say Nightmare, we're gonna go to the general public.
Yep, we're gonna go to the Movie Dojo Army's vote to break the tie.
No.
All right, I'm more nostalgic for Nightmare. I've seen that first. Remember, I saw Halloween late, and as much as I love Halloween, I just love Freddy, man. And I know I'm gonna get a lot of flack here, but I don't care. I'm gonna represent. Voorhees is my guy. Okay, Friday the 13th. I don't care what people say about it. Voorhees is that's my homie right there. Voorhees, and I've always gone Voorhees, Freddy, and Myers. That's my list. That's my dude right there. So I gotta go Nightmare because I'm more nostalgia for it as much as I love Halloween. So we gotta break a tie. We gotta break the tie. What did the audience on the internet pick? What will break the tie? Who will win for Versus?
Oh.
Boom! Look at that.
You fuckers.
Woo!
The public never agrees with me. I never agree with the public.
There you go. So Halloween is the winner for tonight. Sam may have broken the tie. He couldn't make it tonight. Sam from Brickwell Pictures. He's on.
I think you said Nightmare on Elm Street. We'll just leave it at
that. It's my show. I'm changing the winner. No, I'm just kidding. But there you go. Halloween won for today. This was a blast. Always fun talking movies with you guys. There is no losers here. We're all winners because why? We love horror movies, baby. That's how we do. We come together talking horror, all genres. So don't forget, subscribe to Master Chaos TV, son. Subscribe to Aaron Penn, son. Subscribe to Mr. Tony of the Dead. If you feel like subscribing to Sumo, you can. He never posts anything.
Ain't got shit, man.
Start pressuring him, chat. Start pressuring Sumo to start posting some stuff. That's right. Buy them books, Films of Fury, Rick Myers. Got the knowledge. That's right. And don't forget to check out all of April's works. Phenomenal stuff. That's right. I put a trailer for her most recent documentary in the description box below. And don't forget, if you want, you can check out our podcast. She was a guest here. It was always awesome to have the lovely April with us. And April, you're always welcome. Like I said before, make this your second home. Always welcome to come back and talk horror movies or future verses and whatnot. It's always fun having you here, sharing your knowledge.
I'm always happy to talk about movies.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we'll switch.
Come up with two verses of your own.
There you go. Yeah. Pick the next one for us. Let me know if you got any ideas, April.
I probably do.
We could do it for next week. That'll be a lot of fun. All right, guys. Thanks again for watching. You guys are awesome. Keep watching movies, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. We're going to have some more special guests tomorrow at 7 p.m. Pacific time. I'll see you guys there. Take care, guys.